What would you do if God gave you a mission you did not want? Would you obey, or would you run? Thousands of years ago, a man tried to escape from God's command. He boarded a ship, sailed across the sea, and thought he had left his calling behind forever. But before the journey was over, he would face a violent storm, a desperate crew of sailors, and a giant creature from the depths of the ocean. This is the incredible story of Jonah, the prophet who tried to run from God. Jonah was a prophet of God. His role was simple: deliver God's messages to people. One day, God gave Jonah an important mission. He told Jonah to go to the great city of Nineveh. Nineveh was a massive city filled with corruption, violence, and wickedness. God wanted Jonah to warn the people. They needed to change their ways before it was too late. But Jonah did not want to go. The people of Nineveh were enemies of his nation. They were known for cruelty and destruction. Jonah feared them. He hated them. And deep inside, he did not want God to forgive them. So Jonah made a decision. Instead of obeying God, he would run away. Jonah traveled to the port city of Joppa. There he found a ship sailing to a distant land called Tarshish. Tarshish was far away in the opposite direction of Nineveh. Jonah paid for the journey and boarded the ship. As the ship sailed away from the harbor, Jonah probably felt relief. He thought he had escaped. He believed distance could hide him from God's mission. But Jonah would soon discover something powerful. No one can run from God. As the ship traveled across the sea, the sky suddenly darkened. Winds began to howl. The calm waters turned violent. Towering waves crashed against the ship. The storm grew stronger and stronger. The sailors were terrified. These were experienced men who had faced storms before, but this storm was different. This storm felt supernatural. The ship creaked and groaned as waves slammed against its wooden sides. Water flooded the deck. The sailors cried out to their gods for help. Each man prayed desperately. They began throwing cargo overboard to make the ship lighter. Every crate, every valuable item was tossed into the sea, but the storm would not stop. Meanwhile, Jonah was below deck. Amazingly, he was asleep. The captain found him resting in the darkness. The captain shouted, "How can you sleep at a time like this? Get up and pray to your God. Maybe your God will save us." The sailors then decided to cast lots to discover who had caused this disaster. The result shocked them. The lot fell on Jonah. The sailors rushed to Jonah with questions. "Who are you? Where do you come from? What have you done to bring this storm upon us?" Jonah answered them honestly. "I am a Hebrew. I worship the Lord, the God of heaven, who made the sea and the land." Then Jonah revealed the truth. He was running away from God. The sailors were terrified when they heard this. They realized the storm was not ordinary. It was a sign from the God who created the sea itself. The waves grew even more violent. The sailors cried out, "What should we do to stop the storm?" Jonah gave them an answer they did not expect. "Throw me into the sea." The sailors did not want to harm Jonah. Instead, they tried rowing harder to reach land, but the storm became even stronger. The sea was too powerful. Finally, the sailors prayed to God. They asked for forgiveness if Jonah's death was necessary. Then, with great reluctance, they lifted Jonah and threw him into the raging sea. The moment Jonah hit the water, something incredible happened. The storm stopped instantly. The sea became calm. The sailors were filled with awe and fear. They realized the power of Jonah's God. Meanwhile, Jonah was sinking deeper into the dark ocean. The waves closed above him. The The cold water surrounded him, but God had prepared something extraordinary. From the depths of the sea, a massive creature appeared, a giant fish. The enormous creature opened its mouth and swallowed Jonah whole. Jonah disappeared into complete darkness, but he was alive, inside the belly of the great fish. Jonah remained inside the fish for 3 days and 3 nights. Imagine the darkness, the silence, the smell of the ocean and the creature's breath. Jonah was completely alone. There was no escape, no light, no hope. It was in that moment that Jonah finally understood. Running from God had led him here, into the deepest darkness of the sea. So Jonah began to pray. From inside the fish, Jonah cried out to God. He admitted his mistake. He acknowledged God's power. He promised that if God saved him, he would obey. Jonah realized something important. Even in the deepest ocean, God could still hear him. God had never abandoned him. Jonah's prayer was filled with repentance and surrender, and God listened. After 3 days, God gave a command to the great fish. The creature swam toward the shore. When it reached dry land, the fish suddenly opened its mouth, and Jonah was thrown onto the sand. Alive, weak, but alive. Jonah lay on the ground, overwhelmed by what just happened. God had given him a second chance. Once again, God spoke to Jonah. Go to the great city of Nineveh and deliver the message I give you. This time, Jonah did not run. He obeyed. Jonah traveled to Nineveh, one of the largest cities in the ancient world. The city was enormous. It took 3 days to walk across it. Jonah began walking through the streets. He delivered a powerful warning. In 40 days, Nineveh will be destroyed. Something remarkable happened. The people believed Jonah. From the poorest citizens to the king himself, they repented. They stopped their wicked behavior. They fasted. They prayed. Even the king stepped down from his throne, put on sackcloth, and humbled himself before God. He ordered the entire city to turn away from evil. They hoped God would show mercy. And God did. When God saw their repentance, he chose not to destroy the city. Surprisingly, Jonah was not happy. In fact, he was angry. Jonah knew that God was compassionate and merciful. That's why he did not want to come to Nineveh in the first place. He did not want these enemies to be forgiven. So Jonah sat outside the city, frustrated. But God had one more lesson to teach him. God caused a plant to grow and give Jonah shade from the hot sun. Jonah was grateful for the plant. But the next day, God sent a worm to destroy it. The plant withered and died. Jonah became upset again. Then God asked Jonah a question. You care about this plant that you did not create. Should I not care about the thousands of people living in Nineveh? In that moment, Jonah began to understand. God's mercy is greater than human judgment. God cares for every life, even those we struggle to forgive. The story of Jonah is not just about a storm or a giant fish. It's about obedience. It's about mercy. And it's about the truth that no one can run from God's purpose. Jonah tried to escape his calling, but God pursued him through storms, through the sea, and even through the belly of a great fish. And in the end, Jonah learned that God's compassion reaches farther than we can imagine.